your Go Nation of Brian Hall. The race to Atlanta begins this week as we bring you continuous coverage of SEC Media Days in Hoover, Alabama. And now we turn to the guy who's been there, been all over really thus far. Go Nation's Matt Roberts standing by live from the Hyatt Regency and Winfrey Hotel. Matt, what do you have?
Yeah, thanks, Brian, and welcome live down to Hoover, Alabama. Halfway done. We have 7 teams left here at SEC Media Days. Day 2 rolled on today. Now, the LSU Tigers won't go until Thursday, but there was still some talk about them today. Obviously, one of the favorites in the SEC West, if not in the country, to bring home a national title. But anytime you talk about LSU or talk to people about LSU and their national title chances, you say the word if. If this happens, then they will compete for it. If this happens, one thing that is not an if, running back Leonard Fournette. I caught up with Paul Feinbaum of the SEC Network earlier today to talk about big number 7.
Well, I mean, don't forget we awarded him the Heisman last year in late September, so I think we're all going to be a little more careful this year. But I think in the end, if LSU is a contender, and I think the Alabama game will determine that, then I think Fournette has a really good chance of winning the Heisman. I mean, you know, being the best player doesn't mean you're in the Heisman. Derrick Henry was not the best player in the country last year, but he was on the right team at the right time. So it's all about timing, and the Heisman is normally decided in late November, and outside of RG3 and Johnny Manziel, it usually goes to a team playing for the national championship.
Now, we know about Leonard Fournette, but what about Brandon Harris? Harris coming off a roller coaster season where he showed flashes of his ability, but then would struggle. Former Tiger and SEC Network analyst Marcus Spears thinks the talent is there for Brandon Harris.
Brandon Harris is capable of being a top 5 quarterback in this league. He just needs the chances, and that confidence factor is a big thing for those guys. When you get into rhythm as a quarterback, instead of handing the ball off 13 times and then throwing one pass on a 3rd down that you really need, it's difficult to get going in those situations. It's a lot of tools in the toolbox. They just have to give Brandon Harris the keys to the car.
As I mentioned, lots happening here today on day 2 of SEC Media Days. We'll have a full recap for you coming up tonight at 10 o'clock. But until then, live in Hoover, Alabama for SEC Media Days, Matt Roberts for Go Nation.
Yeah, Matt, give him the keys to the car already. Come on.
Great analogy. Just go for it.
Lots of good things headed LSU's way, though, especially this season. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then Alabama tomorrow. We'll talk
cool.
then.